Oh, his name is Vladimir Ermoshkin, same as our president, right? It's Vladimir Putin. Okay. So they have the same name. And Ivanovich is his patronymic, which is second name, like.
Okay, so Dr. Vladimir Ermoshkin, yes?
And I would like to say hello to everyone, and after which I'm going to switch off my camera.
Hello.
Right, I'm the medical interpreter in Moscow. I have been working with in different areas at different webinars and seminars for more than 15 years. So I hope this talk is going to be of interest to all of us. It's theoretical, right? And you need to recall everything you remember from your physics class. As Vladimir Ermoshkin is a physicist, right? And he shares his view on how physics sees arterial sclerosis. Right, let's, I hope you can hear.
Dear participants of Conference Cardiology Webinar 2021, you are welcomed by Vladimir Ermoshkin, the author of Unifying Hypothesis about the cause of arteriosclerosis in humans. I am 73 years old. I graduated from Physics Department of Moscow State University in 1978. I've been going cardiology for the last 10 years. I have shown that almost of the old theories of arteriosclerosis can be combined into one theory. In fact, it was possible to build superstructure over the old theories. This superstructure depends on physical forces, from the forces of gravity of the Earth and from the slow decrease of arterial blood volume throughout life. See you later after the pandemic-19. Goodbye.
Right, now let's move on to the presentation.
Sure. Just if you yes, if you give
I
me a
hope
second, I can give a brief biography of Dr. Vladimir Ermoshkin.
Yes, please. Would you like to talk about
his?
Hear me? Yes, sure. Yes. Okay.
Okay, sure. Okay, Dr. Vladimir Ermoshkin Ivanovich graduated from Physics Department of Moscow State University in 1978. He worked in the field of physics as an engineer. Since 2012, he has been studying medicine at the Russian New University. He proposed a new theory of CVD, participated in several medical conferences in Moscow and London, author of about 20 articles, and we consider the main achievement to be the development of a new theory of mechanisms of atherosclerosis. And the title of his presentation today is the mechanism of the atherosclerosis is to counteract the loss of arterial blood volume. Okay, please start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Here we see the presentation and Vladimir himself. And I took this photo of him to add into the presentation. He has over 60 publications. I guess 40 or 30 of them can be on electronics and engineering. And from our last meeting, he has wrote 4 new articles, and they're all on the new atherosclerosis theory. There are many more than you can see on the screen, but we would like to list the theory of inflammation, the lipoprotein infiltration, neural metabolic theory, autoimmune monoclonal, the viral, the peroxide, genetic theory, chlamydia, hormonal, and 2 Nobel Prize winning theories. One of them is hypercholesterolemia and endothelial dysfunction. Right. Looking at all of these theories as a physicist, he managed to combine them in one. And now he receives about 10 emails a day asking him about his work. And he, as you see, he's invited to 2 conferences today, one of which is in Moscow in person, right? As a physicist and as a patient, he thought that this answer that doctors give to their patients is not 100% accurate, that your arteriosclerosis is caused by your hypertension, right? He sees it as a complex physical process caused by periodic leaks through open anastomosis of arterial blood, where the blood goes from arteries into the veins, and the cells do not get this blood though they need it. It is assumed that every person has a particular volume of blood, and this is very individual. And also we expect some fluctuations in the volume during the day. How this happens, how some blood is transferred from arterial into venous. We know that there are in the arteries, there are special valves, right? And during the day and over the course of life, the volume of arterial blood that every person possesses eventually decreases. On the contrary, we see that the volume of blood in the veins is increasing, and this causes damage to the venous valves, and varicose veins start to develop. The opening and closing of lumen of natural intravenous anastomosis occurs due to some stressful situations, and they also increase the blood pressure. As a result, frequent stress can lead to regular loss of arterial blood volume. Also, gravity is mentioned as the reason to lose arterial blood, and especially in people who are not very active, hyperdynamic, their venous blood volume tends to be much higher. On the other hand, when a patient exercises and does some breathing, and during the rest, right? People who don't have enough rest, they do not get their arterial blood back. If they tend to have enough of night sleep, more blood is pumped back into the small circle of blood circulation, and the balance between the volumes of venous and arterial blood is restored. So stress is mentioned as one of the key factors in arterial blood loss. And we have some evidence from Russian history. The second biggest city in Russia is St. Petersburg. And every country has a city with the biggest number of museums and institutions and higher level of education. For example, if you think of the United States, that might be Boston or Washington. What about your country? Which city would you say is this city with the museums and institutions and high educational level? Do you have such a city? But not the capitals, like not Delhi, but...
In Iran, it's Tehran.
Tehran, right. So in India, it's,
I
do we
think
have
it's New
some
Delhi.
Delhi, New Delhi.
Right, so you see what I mean. In Russia, it's St. Petersburg, formerly called Leningrad. And during the World War II, it was under siege for 900 days, so almost 3 years. And there, I'm going to add this. It's a very beautiful city, the former capital, with palaces, with bridges, beautiful architecture called the Northern Venice. And this city was cut of food supplies, of water supplies, of heating during winter, right? And almost all population was locked inside the city. And here you see our president with the flowers, as he lost his brother in this event. The child did not survive, right? During this siege, there were, due to stress, there were cases of total arteriosclerosis in people's, in blood vessels, right? And this was totally, they were not very old. It was totally caused by stress. So this it's an example and it shouldn't be overlooked. Right. In a peaceful time, when we have a lot of access to food and transportation, and we don't have to exercise or work in the fields, and we have access, this line I have added after Dr. Marx talking about dental care, right? We had a point, hygiene, right? But dental care is very brilliant. So how can overall healthy lifestyle improve the state of the vessels? And doctors talk about the right diet and lifestyle, but from real life, we can see that it doesn't provide 100% answer to arteriosclerosis in the aging population. Then there are massages and breathing practices and all kinds of ways how you can look after your health, right? But perhaps in the future, a new way to control the loss of arterial blood can be found to answer this. And from the point of view of physics, the task is to return this arterial blood back into arterial circulation from the veins. So it sounds a bit futuristic at the moment, but in some 20 years or more, there might appear intra-arterial transfusion with patients' own blood. Like now it's possible to do dialysis for renal problems, right? It is possible, but it's not a practice. Nobody thinks about it to fight this problem. Now more, I'm looking for, yes. Let's come back to the question why these theories need to be combined, right? They're all brilliant theories as shown by the Nobel Committee, but they only list the key factors in arteriosclerosis. They do not answer the why question. They only say the key questions are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it, right? And the key factors that they miss are here. For example, it's the opening of anastomosis followed by increases in blood pressure. And so the neurometabolic factor is partially confirmed. And the neurometabolic is a very old theory, it's like 80 not 80, like 60 years old, right? So this, the factor and the theory kind of combine. Then talking about some negative pressure. When blood in the arterial circulation is lost, there appears a negative pressure and the forces of suction are created. So this confirms two other theories listed in slide 3. Talking about endothelial dysfunction. It's connected with the decrease in the lumen of the arteries, so that the bed of the artery and the area of endothelium decreases. And lastly, talking about different inflammations, either by viruses or other microorganisms, or these factors contribute to displacement of layers in arterial walls, right? And biochemical issues need to be mentioned at this level, right? If you have met Vladimir Ermoshkin in London, you might have noticed that this is a very positive can-do person, like, yes, we can. Here it's not translated into English, but in Russian it's written, yes, we can combine several theories in one. We don't need these 30 theories. Think about the reasons, not the factors, right? You can read more, and here all the links work. I'm going to share this presentation in the chat right after the talk, right? As not all doctors and not cardiologists are physicists, so far, no criticism has been received about, so 3 articles were published in English, 1 in Russian, no criticism so far, right? Nobody objects about making a new theory, shaping it, adding some physics, asking new questions, right? If you or your colleagues have any questions or comments, and especially if you see some weak points in this reasoning, they are more than welcome, either by email or right now. You can ask me a question. I'm going to transfer it and give you an answer in about 3 minutes or so. Or we would like to thank you for your attention. And dear doctors, brilliant in physics, so feel free to share your ideas, questions, etc. That's basically it from me for today. Probably I speak too fast, right? But maybe someone will need time for questions or a bigger lunch break, for example.